Bigger than a hell ring, things like you heard on the decks. Glover hold the court, give the chief no suspect. Politics in the mix, like Gumbo Stewart Rich. Spinning tales from Black Wall Street, real life's the pitch. Doni Glover Show, be more news. Doni Glover Show, be more news.
Welcome to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. How you doing, man?
Man, feeling well, man.
What's your name?
My name is Cardi Cornish.
And you a legend?
I'm a legend.
You're a legend here in Baltimore City. Where we at right now?
We live in the 17, Pennsylvania Avenue. The legendary Pennsylvania Avenue.
Man, the last time I saw you here, you were doing something just across the street here. What were you doing?
Oh, yeah, I had some food left over from an event. We brung it out. We fed a couple of people, man.
Why you do that?
Nice soul food.
Why you do that?
Man, the love that God has shown me in Christ, man, it overflows. That's how it overflows.
Yes, sir.
We got more than we can use. We got more than we can handle ourselves. We try to let it flow. Let it flow to the next person.
Yeah. We're proud of you, man.
Thank you.
And we're proud of your son.
Thank you.
You're watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.
Business sticks hotter than lava. Got that Midas touch. Stocks and blocks teaching youngins how to clutch. Ears to the concrete, finger on the pulse, dropping wisdom like Hova. Each word a joke. Doni Glover Show, be more news. 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 Walls painted black, history on lock. Blast off from Tulsa, rebirth like a clock. Markets rising from ashes to days. Dying the narrator, truth runs in veins. Doni Glover Show, be more news. Doni Glover Show, be more news. Doni Glover Show, be more news. Doni Glover Show, be more news.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. We have a very special show today. Let me just say something about the young man, Cardi Cornish, who is featured in the clip that comes on at the very beginning. He is a young man who I'm so proud of him. Right here in the city of Baltimore, I think Janet Allen knows him pretty well. He's been very active, constructive, productive. He's a great dad. He's doing great things in the community. And I just love that little clip where he talks about applying. Today is Sunday. A lot of people go to church. Going to church is one thing, but practicing what you preach, that's an entirely different thing. So I'm going to bring up this lady. Now, she's a bit of a bossy type of person, but we're going to let her slide. Today is Sunday. Her name is Janet Allen, and let me just say for the record, I am not scared of her, but I don't go down her neighborhood without acknowledging her because it will be a fight. How are you, bully?
I love you, Doni. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Thanks for
Keandra,
having me on the show.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome to the show, Keandra. You got David. You got the one and only Lawrence Bell. You got the Sonia Edie, the Sonia Edie. Let me share with you, Sonia and Lawrence, if you click rotate on your phone and turn it sideways, it'll spread out. You'll have a different screen. It'll fill out. Like if you turn it, rotate it, and then click the rotate button on. There you go. See how she did that?
Looking good, Sonia.
All right, let me see if I can.
Sonia, you want to set that somewhere so you don't have to hold it this long. Yeah, and step away from it and don't touch it. Yeah. Keandra, who are you? Tell us about yourself.
Hi, nice to be online with you. I'm from Reservoir Hill. I'm the current president of the Reservoir Hill Association.
Okay, we have another person joining us. Javon Pinchback, you are in the stream. I guess she's getting it together. Okay. And then step away from it. Cut your mic. Unmute your mic. Yep. And then there you go. Hi, Javon.
Hello.
You can't touch that phone for 1 hour. Don't touch it.
Okay.
David, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey there. I don't know why my video isn't working.
You're looking
You're
good,
working
David.
just fine. We see you just fine, David. Smile.
You do. I can't see me.
Oh, you can't see you? Well,
Oh,
we
you look
see
good.
we see you loud and clear. So we got you. Oh, got Javon, and then Charles W. How are you, Charles?
I'm
Charles,
well, thank you.
Share the same little tidbit. If you click rotate on your phone and turn it sideways, it will expand out, and you'll have a horizontal picture versus a vertical one. So Janet Allen, LB, Lawrence Bell, the one and only, Mr. Host. Matter of fact, you can host this thing yourself.
No, nobody can do like Doni Glover can do. You know, I'm just happy to be here.
How you been, LB?
I've been well. I've been in the trenches fighting with some of the people you have on the program right now, trying to keep Baltimore whole and trying to, keep the culture of Baltimore intact and the housing intact and single family communities intact. So we've got our battle cut out for us, but we still fighting.
I want to direct, I'm going to try to direct our attention to this document from, thank you, Ms. Edie, City Council Bill 25-0064, Zoning, Bulk and Yard Requirements Amendments. Also, City Council Bill 25-0065, Zoning, Eliminating Off-Street Parking Requirements. Ms. Edie, help me out. What are we doing?
So we're looking to see how we as residents and citizens of Baltimore City, how we can address the concerns that the mayor has put in place when it comes down to our living in Baltimore through these bills, three that has already been signed, saying if they can be overturned and putting in places of policies, and the one that's coming up, 6-6, the final bill, saying how if we could stop that bill from being passed.
Janet Allen, you have told me that the Baltimore Brew has done some articles on these housing bills that you don't like, 3 or 4 to my understanding.
Yes, and the bill upcoming is City Council Bill 25-0066, and it's part of the Housing Option and Opportunity Act. It is a zoning reform measure that was introduced this past May, that would eliminate single-family only zoning across Baltimore and allow low-density multi-family unit housing up to 4 units per lot in residential unit. And we feel like that is a direct threat to our homeownership, where we have been the ones that have ran into Baltimore and worked to build Baltimore. And now everything that we've worked for, it's like somebody has kicked the bucket of milk that we just now got from the cow over, and it's saying that it's not going to be worth any value.
Keandra, you want to chime in?
Sure. I just want to add to what Ms. Allen said. It's actually not affecting all neighborhoods in Baltimore. Any neighborhood that has a housing covenant that protects the reduction from a single family to a multifamily will be protected. So Roland Park, Guilford, those types of neighborhoods will continue to be single family neighborhoods, while the rest of us are kind of fighting, like Reservoir Hill, where we have majority multifamily homes. Many people were kind of cut out of the opportunity to purchase single family homes historically. And now these bills will just make it more difficult because they will be competing against developers who are really looking at our homes as ways to make money and not Baltimore as a place to live long term. And so for those of us who have already been, our neighborhoods have already been victims of speculators who are going out, looking at our homes as places to strip for profit. we see these bills as the final frontier to get our neighbors into stable housing where they can own long term, and they're not being threatened by rising rents year after year, which really is what causes people to have to leave the city. And so a lot of our activism is around that, is making it really clear that these bills are not options or opportunities for our neighbors, but for those who might be looking at our city as a place to strip, like for metal, and trade in for profit. So it's very upsetting for those of us that can see the pattern here, where the same communities that were targeted for redlining, where it barred us from being able to purchase homes in our nearby communities, are the same communities that are going to be targeted by these set of bills, which will further our inability to purchase homes and have stability in the city.
Okay, so Sonia Edie is in Poppleton, Janet Allen is in Upton. Keandra, you're aware? Reservoir Hill?
Reservoir Hill, yes.
Okay. Javon, where are you?
Chickapin Park.
Northeast Baltimore.
Yes,
What's your take? I'm sorry.
So if I can say, when I did log into the meeting for City Hall, they had the City Hall meeting, they actually did state that they were not going, but they were going to be doing all city neighborhoods. They weren't going to take in consideration those who had the covenants or the HOAs or anything. So Roland Park and all of those areas would be involved with this as well. But it's been a lot of back and forth with this. One of the issues that was said at the City Hall meeting was they wanted to, when they were looking at reducing the green space, allowing developers or even certain homeowners to build out on their home. The initial thought was that they were going to allow them to build out even onto our properties, like onto neighbors' properties, which is what was said at City Hall. And the gentleman actually stated that if there was a young couple, this was the example he gave, if there was a young couple who went into a neighborhood, they got the smaller house there because that is all they could afford. They enjoyed the neighborhood. They loved where they were, but they wanted to now start building a family. But they couldn't afford a larger home in that neighborhood that they can now build out and not have to worry about property lines. One of the concerns is now that you're saying that someone can build onto my property. So now you're taking my investment because someone else wants to build out. And when Zeke Cohen spoke on that, he stated, well, now you can build something such as an in-law suite. I think this is a great idea. So I spoke to him we messaged each other on Facebook maybe 2 weeks ago. And I asked him, Zeke Cohen, will this lower property taxes, since you're saying that someone can now build onto my property? Will this lower my property tax? Instead of him actually responding to that question, he then turned it to avoid it and called me a bully. And to this day, I've never gotten the response of my question. I've just been called a bully. He's never responded back to me. So my issue is, I still don't know, are they able to build over my property line? Are they building up to my property line? I still have no understanding of what this bill is, and the mayor has already signed off on it. I asked my community, everyone in my community, no one knows anything about the bills.
David, where are you?
I'd like to, can I say a little bit about that?
Hold on. We coming to you.
Okay.
You're the official voice. So we want to let us know, little small fries. You know the whole process. Come on, David.
I'm at Bolton Hill.
Okay. What's your take on the housing scenario?
Well, I think all of us here know that Bolton Hill is a really privileged neighborhood. But if you look at our housing stock, a lot of our housing stock has already been subdivided into apartments, legacy multi-unit family housing going back to the mid 20th century. And the other thing, if you look at our housing stock, it looks a lot like the housing stock in nearby Marble Hill, Madison Park, Upton, Reservoir Hill, just as big, just as beautiful. But there's been a lot more divestment in those surrounding neighborhoods, and even more multi-unit family housing. And one of the things that we've learned over the years in Bolton Hill, and I'm sure surrounding neighborhoods have as well, is when you reach a certain point, even on a block, where you have really an overabundance of multi-unit family housing, just the community spirit dries up. Basic things like trash, over parking, there's just these basics that start to really wear on the fabric of a community. And those are the things that we're concerned, at least I think everybody on this call is concerned about. I know I am, with Bill 66 in particular. We think it would really make those kinds of situations in neighborhoods in Central West Baltimore more commonplace.
Okay, Charles W.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Where are you?
Thank you. I'm in Marble Hill.
And for those who don't know, where's Marble Hill?
Marble Hill is just a few blocks over from Bolton Hill. I'm between Lanville and Division Street on Druid Hill Avenue in
And
West Baltimore.
And what's your take on the housing? Are you pleased with where the city is going?
I am not pleased with where the city is going. Pretty much what everybody has said, and in some form or some way, it impacts the particular community that I live in. Just recently, I wrote an op-ed for the Brew just to accentuate a lot of the issues that everybody has already spoke about. Looking at the deterioration in, for us, it's about the city services. They say that the bill is supposed that we need density. Everything is about promoting density. Well, in my particular block, we are capacity. We have density. We have anchor. We have institutions, historical institutions. We have daycare centers. We have corner stores, and so we have density. And only, as a matter of fact, 6 single-family structures are existing currently in my block. The rest are already divided up into multi-dwellings. Like I said, there's churches, there's daycare centers, there's corner stores, and so that we feel, especially when they said that the bills will be blanket, because you taking a one-size-fits-all approach to the issue, the housing issue here in Baltimore. Every community, every block isn't the same, and so you just can't take a one-size-fits-all strategy to try to correct or address some of the vacant housing issues. And we currently, as I wrote in the op-ed, there are current structures that are in my block that it took my community over 2 years to get the city to address. Just recently, in April, the city was able to actually get out, see what we were explaining to them, condemn these buildings, and some developers came in, bought up buildings illegally, split them into quadruplex from single family. They filled them with families. Again, we're saturated, and so if nothing else, the bills definitely should not be blanket, one size fits all, because we bore the brunt, and we still continue to bear the brunt of density and saturation. So we're at capacity in this block.
Okay.
I know I can speak for myself.
Okay, I just want to go around the horn, and then we're going to pass the ball to former council president, because he understands the city process, I would imagine, probably better than all of us here. But number one, if you have any op-eds, please email them to us. We would love to feature them on Be More News, as well as any other community news. But can we go around the horn and just tell us who your council person is? Janet Allen.
My name is Janet Allen. I'm from Heritage Crossing. My council person is Zach Blanchard.
Okay, so you got Zach, Keandra.
My council person is Councilman James Torrance.
I've heard good things about James Torrance throughout
He's been very vocal about
Yes.
these bills and has been one of the most staple voice in opposition and reflecting a lot of what you've heard just now about how these bills will impact our community.
I'm just so glad to hear that. We hear so many negative things about politicians. It's so nice to hear something good about a politician. David, where are you? Who's your council person?
Yeah, David Nwida in Bolton Hill. My councilman is also James Torrance, and I'll second what Keandra said. He's been wonderful.
Damn, he's getting votes here. Charles W., who's your council person?
I'm in District 11, and I'll go ahead and echo what Keandra and David has said. James is not my councilman, but he's been a great asset. Mine is Zach Blanchard.
Okay. Javon Pinch Black. I called you Pinch Black. Pinch Back. I'm sorry. I met him, Mr. Pinch Back. Are you related to the famous basketball player?
George Pinchback?
Yes.
Yes, that's my father.
Wow.
I just say I speak on behalf of both of us. So we both were, he is not happy. We were both under Odette Ramos initially. He's still with her. I've recently moved to Chickapin Park, and I'm with Mr. Conway.
Okay, Sonia Edie, who's your council person?
John Bullock.
No comment. Okay, Mr. Council
Not
President.
happy. Nothing I could say. Nothing I could say positive.
Okay. LB, you got the floor.
Yeah, I just want to say I want to thank all of the people on this call for the work that they've done on this issue. Here's the thing to remember. If someone wants to make a change to their house right now, they want to add units or they want to extend the back of it and all these things, they can do it right now. Okay, you can do it right now. The thing is that if you want to do it, you've got to get permission. What these bills do is they make it so that an investor developer can go in, get a property that's a single family house or structure and carve it up without getting any permission and in a way that is totally at odds to the character of the rest of the community. And so, I wonder about this because to me, we can get into the minutiae of the bills, but the bottom line is that the overall majority of people, homeowners, don't want this. They're against it. I don't care if it's east side, west side, black, white, what have you. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants someone to come into a property next door and carve it up into 4 units and affect their own property value, right? The character of their property. Nobody wants that. Anybody with sense who understands the bills wants this. So the question is, why is this being pushed the way that it is? And I suspect, and I mentioned this on a program that I was on recently, that I don't know, maybe we go back and look at the campaign finance reports of some of these council people and the mayor as well. Maybe we can understand why, because this does not benefit residents, long-term residents of Baltimore City. It benefits investors and developers who can go into communities, who can outbid people who live here, take these properties and split them up and make money off them. That's what it's all about. One of the bills also deals with parking. Donna, you know that in Baltimore, like almost every city, one of the biggest complaints that people have is that there's not enough parking. Not enough parking. These folks are trying to get rid of parking. One of the bills removes the requirement for parking if you have a new building that you build, right? Now, I think I mentioned to you before that right now, as we speak, I can look out the window. I'm right across from Jewett Hill Park. I live at the corner of Arkansas and Gwynns Falls. Donnie, when I left City Hall some years ago, I kind of swore that I would never step in there again, period. That's how disgusted I was with politics. But the only reason I came back was because people in this community, in this block, complained about a building across the street. And they were preparing to take a building that was zoned for 7 units and more than double the number of units, right? And we're wondering, like, how in the world could you get that many units at 3400 Arkansas Terrace?
The building right there on the corner, that gorgeous building.
It is a gorgeous building, and I wish them success. But here's the thing: if you take a building that is zoned for 7 units and you turn it into a building for 17 units, the question is,
you're trashing it.
Yeah, where are these people going to park at, right? Now, at the hearing, the ownership lied and claimed that they had been given permission to park across the street in the park, which of course was BS. We knew that could not possibly be true. So now you'll notice I can't even park in front of my house anymore. This building on the first floor is a dental facility. We've got seniors who aren't even able to park here because there are too many people squeezed into a building right across the street. So this is what's going on. And my concern is that another thing that's not been mentioned is that this bill does not apply to communities that have pre-existing covenants. Guilford, Roland Park, go on and on. It does not apply to them. And this is something they don't want to tell people when they have these hearings. They're very dishonest about this. Now, let me say one more thing. Several of you, like me, were involved in the online meeting that the mayor had. He scheduled this meeting on a Monday at the same time the council was voting on a couple of these bills. Okay, so we couldn't be in two places at the same time. I made the mistake, Donnie, of being honest. When I got in early and I said I had a question, the guy that screened me asked me, and I told him, I said, I have reservations. Well, consequently, everybody that had reservations was not allowed to speak, right? And I'm saying is this is the wrong way to conduct business. It's the wrong way to conduct a city.
Isn't this the same thing that Trump is doing?
Yes.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, that's it. Okay.
Yes.
In other words, you do what you want to do. You don't get any input from the people. And I would like for the mayor to just man up, meet with people, just be honest and talk to the people, and don't hide and scheme. These bills are not for people.
Is that the consensus everyone has, that the mayor's ducking the people?
Absolutely.
Well,
He absolutely is.
Bullying the people.
Right.
And I feel like they're not listening to our cries for equity and we also believe that the reason why they're saying they want this bill is because of affordability. Now, I live right in the heart of Baltimore City. I call it the belly of the whale. And the reason why people have left Baltimore, and people have given me a lot of reasons, affordability is not one of them. Not in West Baltimore where I live at. People have left because of the quality of life issues, because of drug corners that erode safety, because of inadequate school systems that doesn't give their child a fair chance or a proper education to compete in this society, because of unsafe streets, because of no access to food. And, every year they have this list of, restaurant week. We don't have a restaurant in our community that we can go to sit down and eat. I have a dream that one day I can go to a restaurant and sit down and eat. And the absence of economic engines and mobility for the people. We have been working too hard for too long for our voices to be ignored. And it's unacceptable.
I'm glad you did the parlay on education. As LB and I were talking earlier, I just got to put it out there. Did you guys see that Baltimore School CEO is the best in the state of Maryland? Superintendent of the year? Anyway, I digress.
That's pretty fascinating. By the way, and I'm glad that you mentioned education.
So you see, we have Edwin Avent, Dr. Avent, right?
Right. Well, listen, all over the city. Now, the mayor even acknowledged this on the meeting, and I don't even know if he understands the issue that well, but they're closing schools left and right. Down the street from me, West Side Elementary School has been closed, and they're replacing it with a big rec center where you have no kids anymore, right? I mean, it's just a crazy thing. Years ago, I think I mentioned this to you, Donnie, many of us who were in council back in the 90s said, rather than completely close schools, if they're losing population, right now, I think the threshold is at 85%. If it gets below 85% occupancy, it's a candidate for closure. We're saying shrink the school, make it smaller, add other operations into the school, like wrecking parks, like some other things, okay? But when you close a school down totally, okay, you damage communities. And see, this is in line with these bills. These bills are about creating housing for single, I guess, professionals and others, okay? But, look, my daughter's grown up. But I do want to see families still move into Baltimore in single family housing. These folks have a tunnel vision where they want to get rid of single family housing, squeeze these small efficiencies into these houses, and the whole character of the city they want to change. So again, I think it's wrong. I hope and I pray that we can make enough noise that at least this last bill does not get through.
As we were discussing the planning of this town hall, education came up. As a matter of fact, the Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys came up. Edwin Avent, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Donnie. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all. Good to see good friends. LB, good to see you, my brother.
Good to see you.
Mr. Avent, I've known you 30 years or so. You've put your hands on a lot of successful projects over the year. What seems to be the problem?
Well, I don't know what it is with Baltimore City public schools and their desire for Black boys to fail, because that's exactly what I think is going on here. You know, over the course of the last, you can look at the last 15, 20 years, the average graduation rate for African-American males in Baltimore City is about 60%. 60% of our boys are graduating from high school. What's happening with the other 40%? I'll tell you what's happening with the other 40%. Those are the guys you drive up to the corner and they want to clean your windshield. Those are the guys who are, you know, winding up in our jails or on our streets outlined in chalk. That's what's happening with them. We're all pretty familiar with if a boy can't read by third grade, they're building a jail cell for them. And that's been going on for years. And so when we started Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys and opened the doors back in 2015, we started at the 4th grade to try to capture those boys who, before they fell through the cracks of Baltimore, and try to turn them around. Many of the boys that we get in our school, both in the 4th grade, which is the biggest entry point, and then at the 6th grade, which is the middle school, the second biggest entry point, many of those boys are 2 and 3 years below grade level. So when you see these statistics on TV, on Fox 45, showing all these schools with 0 proficiency in math or ELA, a lot of those families are looking for a place to try and save their son before it's too late. And they wind up saying, let's send them to Boys Collegiate. They don't even call it Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys. Send them to Boys Collegiate, almost as if it's like send them into, you know, this is the last resort, the only way we can save our sons. And what I'll say is that when boys walk in our door, we begin working on them from day one to change their mindsets, to make them believe in themselves. We have a high degree of expectation of our boys. They wear a tight uniform. Our middle school boys wear shirt and tie. We get to tell little boys, pull your pants up, tuck your shirt in, while we work on getting their confidence together. And then the end result, the thing that we had hoped for when we started this school, was to try and get as many of these boys to graduate from high school and then head off to college. And I'm just proud to say that we have four classes that have graduated from us in the 8th grade that have now graduated from high school in 2022, 23, 24, and 25. And on average, 90% of the boys that graduate from Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys graduate from high school in 4 years. And almost 50% of our boys are in a 2 or 4 year college. However, Baltimore City holds us to the standard, and the standard I don't disagree with. We want to move the test scores for boys in the 4th through 8th grade, but we are dealing with boys who come in with such deficits that we have to spend as much of our budget as we can on tutoring to try to bring them up to grade level for both math and English while we're working on them in the classroom. And so what you'll see in test scores is that we're not blowing it out of the water. But what we know is going on a daily basis with these boys is that they're being influenced by all the people in our building who are intentional about helping these boys believe in themselves, perform in the classroom, and have bigger dreams than they might have when they walked in the door. Many of our boys are coming in from single-headed households, and their mothers are saying, please help my sons. And we have over 20 men in our building that's working with boys, like 1 man to every 15 boys. So we're pouring into them and being role models. However, Baltimore City is challenging us that our test scores aren't high enough and other things. And so once again, they have us on the chopping block. They want to close our school.
So is housing a key part of the issue with the young men, the young men from the families they come from? Does housing have anything to do with it?
Yes, it does. I mean, the number of boys that are actually homeless that wind up at our school is huge. So we have a lot of transients with our boys moving around the city, from their grandmother's house to their aunt's house to their uncle's house, someplace else, and they still have to show up in school. And so there is, I do believe, an impact on the housing issue that impacts our boys. Now, mind you, we're a citywide school. So boys come from the entire city, from Cherry Hill to West Baltimore to East Baltimore to Northern Baltimore. They're coming from all over the city. But in large number of cases, they are dealing with housing issues.
Keandra, you see a correlation between the housing and education?
Absolutely. I think during the last town hall, which I was not able to attend because of the scheduling conflict in the city, they scheduled so many things. One thing that the mayor said is this is an emergency issue because there's an issue with homelessness. There's a shortage of residencies that take Section 8 housing vouchers. And so I really was wondering, maybe this is a blind spot in our argument, right? That maybe, in fact, these bills will help with this issue and create housing stability, especially for those of our neighbors who are facing homelessness. But then I took a look at what's called housing vacancy rates, which is when an apartment is sitting empty. And so the whole structure of the argument that the mayor and the council people that are supporting these bills are putting forth is that we lack density and there's not enough housing. But what you actually see is the places that have the lowest vacancy rates, which are still in a healthy place, around 5%, have the most density. And usually you'll see that in West and East Baltimore. But in the areas where the vacancy rates are the highest are like in areas like Fells Point and Federal Hill, where it's hitting as high as 14% of a vacancy rate. Yet those neighborhoods are the places that have the least intake of Section 8 vouchers and the homeless population. So if this was a true argument, right, I think the first step on an emergency basis that the mayor would take is ensure that there's equity across the city for where housing vouchers are accepted and where the homeless population would be housed. And we in our neighborhoods are actually taking the brunt. So I'll give you an example. In Reservoir Hill, per 1,000 people, we accept 160 Section 8 housing vouchers. But if you look in Federal Hill, they accept 7 per 1,000 people. That's a huge disparity. And so if the mayor really, really wanted to address that issue, that would be the first most emergent step. Look at these apartment buildings that are sitting vacant, where there are tons of housing for people, and encourage those buildings to begin immediately accepting Section 8 vouchers. Obviously, that's not a long-term solution. And yes, there's a larger issue of making sure that our students can have stable housing. In my own community, this is a huge issue for students who have to travel quite far to get to elementary school. And now we have learned that students are using the public transportation system to get across town. Oftentimes the high delinquency rate in our schools are due to the fact that our public transportation system is just not functioning at the level that our young people can get across town in a timely manner and arrive to school on time. And so this whole parking minimum and saying that, oh, you can just use public transportation to get everywhere is a farce. We know that that's not true. Even though we have a great bus system, yes, we have a light rail system, yes, we have a subway system, they don't connect well. And sometimes getting from one place to another, which would take 10 minutes in a car, can take 2 hours on the bus, depending on how you're trying to connect in the winter, you know? So
you agree with that?
Oh, I most certainly agree. I spent 20 years working at MTA. So I 100% understand how that works. And it's just a man system. It's a man operated system. So if you don't have a person that's coming into work to operate that bus is not
You
going
worked
out for
there
the day.
You worked there for 20 years?
Yes, sir. I started when I was 21.
Javon, why up the subway station? Why
I,
up the subway station look
I
all
work for
dim?
DC Transportation now. I'm a DC Transportation now. So
Why look all dim like it's a damn tomb or something?
they honestly, previous governments have not given transportation the funds needed
No.
to make
Johns
those type of
Hopkins station
adjustments.
look all pretty.
Johns
Upton
Hopkins put
station.
in a lot of their money of their own funds in their stations as well. Lexington Market, Upton Station, Mondawmin, a lot of those stations weren't given a lot of the funds to make those upgrades.
Well, I think we
Eh,
are giving the investment.
yeah.
When you look at transit stations in Black neighborhoods, you will find that there is no place of destination. They're just going, as Sonia and I talk, where they're going through our neighborhoods. They're not going to our neighborhoods because why would they unless they live there? They don't have any, we don't have any grocery stores. We have no pharmacies, no anything because the neighborhood has been disinvested. And Bill 250066 will seek to further disinvest the neighborhood. And so our neighborhoods are unique, and we need to have a bill that addresses our specific needs. And not just, a bill that's talking about density, but talking about the needs of the community, the need for safety so that our young people will not be recruited into those prison pipelines or drug or the drug culture. And also we have a need for our community, for our communities to just have more investment and to be able to be safer places where mothers don't have to worry about if I send my son to school, will they be recruited by a gang or will they be harassed into doing something illegal? We used to have school monitors that made sure the kids weren't on the corners during school time. Whatever happened to that?
David, I don't want you to be the lone white guy on the crew. You got to jump in because these sisters ain't playing, David. I'm gonna help you out a couple times, David. What are your thoughts?
Well, I like the point that Lawrence was making earlier about the whole notion of creating more housing that's more dense, that's really designed for people who just need an apartment with one bedroom, means that there's fewer and fewer houses for people with larger housing needs, and specifically families. So if the city wants to encourage more families to move into Baltimore, it needs to make sure that the housing stock is large enough for those families. And the fewer single family homes there are large enough for families, it eventually means we go down this path, like Lawrence was outlining, how there's not enough kids to populate the local public schools. And then we have more and more public schools that are at risk of shuttering. And so it's really not a smart way to build a city.
I say
Mr.
something.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Edie.
Yeah. When I look at the density and the way the mayor and them are trying to say affordability, Baltimore City was in the city for a lot of Black families. We had housing projects, and in those housing projects, we had large buildings that encompass like 13, 14 stories, and with families. And as time went on, we learned that was not a good fit. It did not work. It wasn't healthy for families living in those conditions. And it is not just, I'm not talking about the poverty, the crime part of it, which came later. I'm talking about having these large units with a hallway, an elevator system, and a stairwell. You know, when you have no place for children to go out and play. You know, the things about, you know, what I had liked about the city when they started coming up with the Section 8 vouchers years ago, you know, and the city had begun to take on vacant properties, and they were rehabbing these vacant properties themselves and putting families, women with families, inside of a 3-story home or 2-story family home. And this way, the family was fit for a house. These houses had basements, they had backyards, they had front steps, you know. And so to now go backwards, when they tore down the flag projects, they built townhomes. When they tore down the Lexington Terraces projects, they built townhomes. When they tore down Murphy Homes and put Heritage Crossing, they put townhomes. And these townhomes brought families. And you can see the difference in the upkeep. Those grounds where there are still public housing on each one of these spaces, they are still well kept. The grass is not balded. You know, you don't have crime. You don't have people standing on corners. It showed that this type of housing change works. So now to go back in now, they're coming into our communities. They are demolishing whole single family homes, and they are turning it into what they say we need density. And what you're taking, what's being extracted from our communities are families, people, families, single family homes. But you are removing these people, and now you want to bring back a different style of housing. You want to bring back apartment units which is gonna house at least 50 families or more.
And
so now you're bringing right back.
They better not have cars because they ain't gonna have nowhere to park.
Exactly. So now you're telling the developers that you don't even have to add parking, or the minimum amount of parking. You know, and so again, what is this going to do to our neighborhoods? And I mean, we done lost the laughter of children. You don't see children anymore. You don't hear kids, you don't see kids outside playing anymore. So I don't see us moving into a place where we're looking to bring families back to Baltimore City.
Okay,
I agree with that. I agree. Can I say this?
Hold tight. Mr. Avon, I don't want to hijack your day, but I did want to give you a chance. What can people do to assist you now?
Oh, well, you know, and I think this discussion that's going on around housing and the density and the things that are going on in Baltimore City is a very important discussion. So I'm sorry if I'm inserting things about our school into this conversation, but I do believe that when people talk about location, it really means schools when it comes to families. If you don't have great schools, then people don't want to live in certain neighborhoods, because they want their children to get the best opportunity. So schools are important. In a city like Baltimore, if we want our sons to thrive, we have to put them in environments where people understand our sons. And that's just the thing about Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys. We understand Black boys. We understand what they're coming from, where they're coming from, and what we need to do to encourage them to get themselves together and stay focused on going to school. And so I don't know what the rest of the city is doing, but I know what we're doing. And as a result, our boys are more likely to graduate by 30% more than regular Baltimore City schools. So boys graduating from their schools are 60%. Boys graduating from our school are 90%. Yet Baltimore City wants to shut us down the way they did Bluford Drew Jemison, the way they did Banneker Blake. It's something about when you want to educate Black boys in Baltimore City that you have a challenge coming from the Baltimore City School department, and like they don't understand what's going on with Black boys. Yeah, our test scores may not be the same as schools that have girls. Girls are outpacing boys in education at every level. Just look at the colleges. At Morgan State University, the Black male enrollment is down from 50% to 37% in just 20 years. Same thing at Coppin State. It's only 25% of the population are males. And so we have a crisis going on in education. And if we want our boys to stay in this city, to be able to go to college, to be able to be here and make this a robust community, we have to support the educational institutions that are actually able to do that for Black boys. And so I would encourage everybody on here, if you could reach out to, the members of the Baltimore City School Board or the School Board of Commissioners and let them know that we need to have schools like ours. It helps the city when you can send boys to a school and know that they're going to graduate from high school later on. It would help homeowners to know they have a healthy option.
And when
Can I say something, Donnie?
we need to know the date. Let me just say this very quickly. We need to find the date when this is going to be before the school board. I pledged myself to be there. I'm going to work to get PACs. I tried a few years ago. Your predecessor, Councilman Carl Stokes, faced the same thing, and we weren't able to get people because we didn't know in advance about it. But we need to pack the school board. We need to be very demanding. We need to make it clear that the acts of these folks are really about depopulating. There are people who are deliberately attempting to depopulate Baltimore City. When the mayor mentioned this the other night, and he mentioned their plan to tear down schools and replace them, that's BS. It's very clear that they're trying to get rid of as many schools to depopulate. They're doing it on purpose, okay? Now, by the way, and all this is connected because when it comes to housing, for example, we had $641 million of American Rescue Act money that was given to the city of Baltimore. Many of us were saying, let's take those funds along with the idea of we talked about dollar houses and things of this nature to get people to invest in renovating these properties. Years ago, we did the Nehemiah project where we took federal, state, local money. We rebuilt part of Sandtown and we did it for home ownership. And so the point, and I want to get this clear, that we are trying to stabilize communities by expanding home ownership in these communities. We have models that have worked before. The reason why they didn't go for that, the same reason why the mayor opposed the Dollar House program, is because his people want to, they want to support investor developers. Investor developers don't want to spend the money to rehab in areas. What they rather do is take single family housing communities and squeeze as many people in because it makes money for them, okay? That's what this is all about. So we've got to educate people about that. We've got to have everybody possible, and I plan to be there at that school board hearing. We got to really raise Cain about this because, again, and I don't want to belabor the point, but we're really talking about the future of the city. And see, here's the thing, and one more thing I want to say this, Donnie. I think what we're up against is an echo chamber. You have a few people that are part of maybe some kind of think tank that's not even here in Baltimore, okay? And they think the entire world surrounds single professionals who want to go into cities and make the city look like them. They're not about families. They're not about families. And all these actions taken together are anti-family. I had a person say to me, a friend of mine lives in Reservoir Hill. She said, Lawrence, look around you. How many families do you see? And I said, you know what? I never thought about it. I don't see families around here. I know this. My family grew up here years ago. There aren't families in this area. They're kids. So what's happening is young people who have kids are moving out or they're not moving in at all, okay? And that's that is the crisis that we're up against. So we've got to make it clear to these people. Again, unfortunately, our mayor and some of these council people, they get their directions from these people outside the city. And once they've decided that, they're not listening to anybody in the city. And that's the problem. Any of the residents, they don't care. I talked to a state senator. I'm not going to name him. But let me just say this about him. He said to me, let me say this real quick. I'm finished. He said the mayor does not understand. He does not understand home ownership. And I said to the state senator, because my thing in lobbying this is that most of the council people that I am closest to are already against the bill. Okay, Torrance, for example, and he and I have our differences. He's against the bill. So I'm wondering, how is it possible, these bills, that the mayor does not understand what this is about? So anyway, I'm not a psychologist, but I'm just saying that we've got to make it very hot and difficult for these people and they have to pay a price if they don't make a change. And we've got to lay down, Edwin, we got to lay down the gauntlet on this school. We got to be packed in that school board hearing and make it clear that it's not acceptable.
So
I'm finished now, but that was it.
I wanted to say something as far as the school closing. First of all, I just want to say I have a grandson who graduated from collegiate. Is in his final year at Carver, a 12th grade student at Carver, looking to graduate this year, and now is looking to move on to college. So I thank you for what y'all did. I wanted to talk about the school closing because I live in Southwest Baltimore, and we had Stewart Hill, which was an elementary middle school. And that school sits in Union Square. Now, but the school, the students, so you had Mount Clair, and then you had Franklin Square, and you had Hollins that surrounds this little community of Union Square. And so as over the time, when now all of the new investment that started to stream into Union Square, so you had all these professionals, you had a lot of older people who bought this prime real estate, brownstone homes in that community who didn't have children. I'm saying, but where did your children go to school? But anyway, when there was a push to close that school, rather than that neighborhood coming together to fight for that school to remain open, the community association of that neighborhood came against it, where now that they had more prominent people living in that area, they targeted that building for themselves. And so when the surrounding neighborhoods who children attended this school wanted to keep that school open, we fought. We showed up at the education board, and they still closed the school. And now those kids are forced to go to 3 other local schools, but it's the walk. They're not being bused there, but they are forced to now have to walk to these schools where you had a school that was like a block or 2 from you. Now you have to walk like a half a mile to a school. And on that note, I'm saying, where is collegiate centrally located? What type of support are y'all getting, from that neighborhood? Because Union Square, that board did not reach out to the other residents in Union Square. When we went out to talk to them about closing, the majority of those residents that lived in Union Square that wasn't on the board did not know that this school was closing and was all in support. So I'm saying check and find out where the community association that this school is in, its neighborhood is in, and are there any one who's interested in the building that y'all are operating out of currently? To see, is it just the school? Is it the building that they're after, or is it really the school?
It's really the school. It's really the school. The Coldstream Homestead Montebello community is in support of us. The president of the association is in our school on a regular basis, trying to figure out how can they help us be there. So they want us to be there. We have other neighbors in the neighborhood willing to buy the building for us so that we can remain there. So it's not a Baltimore City school building. It is a privately owned building, and it's for sale, and we're trying to buy it, but we are challenged because we can't get our renewal for like 5 years. We just need enough time to buy our building to bring our overhead down. The city have been withholding a lot of money from charter schools, and a lot of people believe it's on purpose to try to eliminate charter schools as competition. I guess if you look at a situation where 90% of our graduates are graduating from high school and only 60% of theirs are, it doesn't look good, right?
It certainly makes me wonder how in the world.
If y'all could bring some kids to testify, we did that. We brought kids to be able to testify. So if y'all can get some of those students, to come in who have graduated from high school, to come back and even talk about what, they got from, attending y'all school.
Okay, but see, y'all got to hold up. Marita Goodman's got to go. Marita, come on, get your comment in. You got to be aggressive on here. They getting ready for Ravens football.
Introduce yourself,
David,
Marita.
David, you can't be tepid on here. They come on, Miss Goodman.
Well, yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hello? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, sorry, I was at another activity.
Come on.
And
come on.
So I just wanted to listen. Okay, I just wanted to listen to see where you all were and what the, what the stream of conversation was in terms of City Council Bill 0066. I heard some, but the main concern is that I work with a number of groups here in Northwest Baltimore. That's where I'm located. I'm from Garwin Oaks, and I work in my day job with 11 other neighborhoods and been able to interact with the people who are, most of the people who are in here now. And the concern seems to have been, first of all, that there was not very little to no documented outreach to the communities in terms of creating this bill, what the impact would be, and the need for it. That's the first thing that people are concerned about. The other thing is that it has been, I guess, put forth that this was supposed to be, I guess, a support for home ownership, and we can't really see how that is, since they're talking about allowing low, what they call low density, basically apartment buildings, small apartment buildings be built anywhere in the city, including single family communities. And the concern of it and using, I guess, reasons of saying that this would make things more equitable, or the concern that came across in the earlier conversations is that this particular bill really is goes against increasing home ownership, sustaining it, or promoting it. Definitely, it's not supporting homeowners or current residents, really, but current homeowners who have, especially legacy homeowners like myself, who've been in this neighborhood. Well, I grew up here, and I bought the house, my parents' home, our family home. So I've been here most of my life, and so the concern that we want to get forward is that this bill should be halted, will not be passed. And if they still want to do something, at least a moratorium on it, allow people to go back and review the impact, or really the impetus of what this bill is supposed to be. It can't be increasing home ownership on one side, but you're bringing in basically apartments. They're allowing more rental units to be placed anywhere in the city, as if that was supposed to, for some reason, increase home ownership. There's a disconnect here. Homeowners, we work with homeowners on a daily basis. Go ahead,
David. It seems like maybe we.
No, I was just saying we work with.
I heard you, Ms. Goodman. David, I wanted to say that maybe it's time we try some republicanism in Baltimore. Maybe the problem is that it's 9-1 Democrat, and that there are no checks and balances.
Well, let me just say this about Baltimore. I moved here in 2009. I'm not originally from Baltimore, but one of the beautiful things that I've noticed about this city is its row houses. And not just its individual row houses, it's row house neighborhoods. That's what Baltimore is. It's iconic. It's what people know Baltimore for. And row houses, by their nature, are dense living. You get dense housing with row houses. Yep. And usually when cities create changes in their zoning code that would make it more dense, it would make it easier to create more units for a given property, it's because there's population pressures on the housing stock. Baltimore's population has hardly budged in decades. In fact, it's been going down mostly.
Damn.
And it's been going down. Now it went up just barely over the last year or so, but that was under 1,000 people. And I would love to see Baltimore's population grow, but this bill on its own isn't going to do that. Because if we really did have the population pressures that would encourage a bill like this from being put forward, we wouldn't have as many vacant row homes that we have. There would be enough pressure to rehabilitate those row homes and turn them back into single family homes.
I just want to say to you that anytime you say, you, Mr. Avent, LB, Sonia Edie, Ms. Goodman, Charles, Janet, if you want to do this again, I will make myself available whenever you want. Education, housing. This is how we reverse bigger issues like mass incarceration, like food deserts. The Avenue Market. I don't know if you know it, family. Baltimore Public Markets gets a new leader tomorrow. I understand it's a Latina lady. All that's well and good. I know the Avenue Market, which is 2 blocks from my house, has not gotten any attention in 25 years. So any final thoughts before we wrap up? And Janet, just bring it on home for us briefly. We are Ravens fans. We're prepping.
Okay. I think we need development based on the needs of the community. We need safe streets, strong schools, places that we can get fresh groceries and healthcare access, pharmacies. And so I think that Bill 25066 is a misdiagnosis of the problems with Baltimore. And the prescription is to work with us, not against the residents, to find out what are the needs of each of the communities, because every community, every neighborhood has distinct needs, and you can't have a one-size-fits-all prescription because that is malpractice.
Charles W., let's hear from you. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for your patience.
Absolutely. I totally agree. We need to look at some other ways to address. I mean, it is a problem. We understand that, but we just can't make everything go away with the, waving a wand and expect a cure-all, because that's not how reality in life works. So definitely we need to fight. I would love to have another one of these. I appreciate everyone's perspective, and I enjoy this dialogue. Thank you very much for having me.
LB, what do you want to do? We're going to run you for mayor? I mean, what do we got to do?
Now I'm running for my life right now. But I appreciate you doing this.
Did you stop the bike lanes? Because I'm seeing these bike lanes. Man, I'm going across 28th Street. You leave West Baltimore, you're just glad to get to 83. And let me just say, I wasn't going to do this. The block right off of 83, David, North Avenue. You ever try to get on that one block? David, why do you create a bottleneck right there where everything is about to, why, David, I had to go all the way to North and Carey Street to get across North Avenue during morning rush hour, because this massive highway goes down to a bottleneck. And unless you have a bike, and nobody really rides a bike because we don't trust drivers in Baltimore.
Donnie, it was above my pay grade. I didn't make that decision.
That's your corner, David. And you're getting a market too, David.
Hey, you know what? You need to interview those firefighters, because a lot of people upset. Those fires that occurred, the one off of, I think it was off of 23rd Street, and another one, Sisson. The fire trucks had to reroute those that came from the west side, right? Because the multi fire. What's the word I'm looking for? But they were multi-alarm fire. So there are trucks coming from all over, and they had a difficult time getting to it because they couldn't get through Jewett Parkway Drive and 28th Street. So I'm waiting to hear somebody talk about that. Maybe we need to have a lawsuit citywide to challenge these alterations, because they violate the International Fire Code, which says the streets have to be at least 20 feet wide. And it's for a reason, because fire trucks and emergency vehicles like ambulances can't get through. They can't get through, and this is the result.
David, any final thoughts?
No, we've gone from housing to ambulances. I think we've covered the whole range. It's been a pleasure being on your show, Donnie.
Pleasure's all mine. Sonia Edie, the boss lady. Then we'll finish with you, Mr. Avent. You get the final word. You're my big brother, 30 years.
Yeah, I
Are you
just would
running
like
for
to.
office, Sonia? Let's just get the campaign stuff. Let's get all this out the way. You having a fundraiser? What's the dilly?
I'm still waiting on that. I
You waiting
love
on
being
Jesus?
able.
Well, today is Sunday. Check
Yeah,
your
yep,
text message.
yep. Yeah. So for right now, I'm concerned about the title of these bills. They talking about affordability, and they push this through on affordability. But we haven't defined affordability. Right now it's more affordable to own a property than it is to rent. And as we continue to move forward, and they're trying to bring in all these rental units, that affordability, for home ownership is going to continue to expire. So I would like to know, like, how is it that HUD and HABC and them are looking? So are we looking to have more subsidized housing? Is we looking now, the taxpayers are going to have to put more taxpayer money into housing people, or are you going to have a pathway that people can be homeowners, and when you're a homeowner, that investment that you purchase, that you invest in, that your taxes, that money goes into your property taxes and all of the services, that you would need to stay as a resident in Baltimore City. I'm concerned that there is no conversation when we're talking about what does this density look like? Who is going to pay for this density? Because in order for you to live in Baltimore City, as far as I can see it, is you're going to have to live in, is what they're telling you, is you're going to have to live in an apartment complex. If you're Black and don't have the finances, if you don't have the wealth to be able to afford a home, a single family home, and you want to remain in Baltimore City or move to Baltimore City, you're going to have to move into one of the apartment complexes, and this is what I see is their vision. And until I see something different, I don't see that as an affordable, a way of saying, how do we conquer, Baltimore City's housing issue?
And you'll never be able to afford or attract Fortune 500 companies if we don't have people who can sign their name in cursive,
exactly,
who can read, who can speak articulately, who can represent us well. And that's why David Miller always says that until the education and salvation of our children becomes a priority, we have lost yet another generation. Mr. Edwin Avent, he's not just the leader of this school. He is an entrepreneur. He is a civic leader, past president of Black Professional Men Incorporated. I found home there 30 years ago, and he hangs out with the likes of N. Scott Phillips. David N. Scott Phillips ran BWI Airport, and because Maryland—
That's Ricky Smith.
Ricky Smith, because they didn't pay him enough, he went on and took the job at the busiest airport in the world in Atlanta. I might have editorialized that a tad, but he was here. He came back here, but he's gone to the best now. Mr. Avent, you got the final word, partner.
Well, once again, Donnie, thank you so much for inviting me on, and thank you so much for the passionate representation of all the neighborhoods in our city. For everybody who's on here, I lived in Baltimore City for many years. Got married, moved into the suburb, but my commitment has always been to the city. We've mentored over 3,000 boys and given scholarships to 250, and now we've been running Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys for 11 years, and we've graduated thousands of boys who are now graduates of high school and going to college. And so I just would like to encourage everyone to let our public officials know that we must have schools like Baltimore Collegiate. They like to say that our numbers aren't perfect, but we're dealing with an imperfect population. And the work we're doing is very purposeful, it's intentional, and we know that we're taking boys in who are not performing on grade level. And our job is to turn them around in as short a time as possible to get them ready so that they will go to high school and believe in themselves and stick with high school and graduate, and hopefully either go to college or get a trade. But we know that we can reduce, you know, the incarceration rate of our community when our boys are educated. We can build families when our boys become men who are educated, who can get married and be fathers who are responsible people. And so the work we're doing is very important. Please let the mayor know, the governor know, and the board, you know, the school board know that we need Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys to be here to continue to move the next generation of young men in this city forward.
All right, there you have it, Janet Allen. Are you pleased? And if y'all want to do this again, all you got to do is call this one right here. She's a bully.
Stop that, Donnie. You know I'm a loving woman. But one of the big things is that this is a middle neighborhood issue. Middle neighborhoods are neighborhoods that can go one way or the other. And Bill 25066 will push us in the wrong direction. It will not push us into us being able to pass our homes on for generational wealth. And that's what we need. And we would like to do this again, Donnie, and we would like to have our public officials, elected officials on to have a real conversation with us, because that has not really happened, and it needs to be public. People need to know where they stand. I find that this time of year, this is when the midterm is when these elected officials make all of these bad decisions regarding community, because they think that when the election comes that we would have forgotten about it, and and we've been doing that. So as much of our fault as it is theirs, but we need to remember who is working in our best interest and vote for who's working in our best interest.
Renee Mitchell said that when this bill passes, and this is shameful. Big brother Edmund, we could easily be getting ready for the game, but when this was brought to me yesterday, it's no way we can't. And then your school, and it's like, I'm all for the optics. Hey, David, I love to see a black guy running the show, but hold up. If you're throwing interceptions every play, you got to sit down. I don't care who you are. You get on the field pushing the ball down the field. And I'm hearing one thing: the walk ain't matching the talk.
Hey, Donnie, I'd like to thank you very much for this opportunity for me to join you. I have to join in another conversation in a couple of minutes. God bless you all.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much for having me. And my prayers are with everybody on this call and for our city.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you all.
See you.
Take care. Enjoyed it.